I've always been interested in Native American culture and traditions. The differences between their ancient culture and our Western culture that we know today are vast and plentiful. Native American civilizations thrive so close to home, yet are so different than the people who live on the same land today. Things that we consider so basic and so common were unheard of to them, and vice versa. Native life was documented orally instead of our way, which is writing it down. So as the generations move farther and farther past tradition, only few people are left knowing these old beliefs. So in The Wisdom Keepers, meeting with Native American spiritual elders, Harvey Arden, who is the author, and Steve Wall, who is the photographer, bring us the knowledge of these few elders who still know these beliefs and traditions. So Harvey and Steve travel across 20 Native American nations, which nations in Native American culture is like a group of tribes. Usually they live on kind of similar land, similar geological locations, hunt similar game. Sometimes they have kind of similar beliefs, but that's not really what makes the nation. And then, so they went across these 20 Native American nations, and it took them 10 years. And they interviewed spiritual elders of tribes that they came across. And then all of these interviews were compiled into their book, The Wisdom Keepers. So, to start, I want to talk about the author, who is Harvey Arden, and he is a retired writer for National Geographic. He even has his own fan page listing all of his accomplishments. Of these accomplishments, one of his main ones, obviously, is printing numerous and memorable stories in National Geographic. And then of these stories, multiple of them were reprinted into Reader's Digest. So that kind of tells you how interesting and profound his thinking is. He also wrote many other books other than The Wisdom Keepers, including Dream Keepers, which is about Aboriginal Australians, so keeping with that whole primal native people. Noble Red Man, Travels in a Stone Canoe, Prison Writings, and numerous other books. But it kind of gives you the idea they all have this native and primal people focus. So obviously, he is no stranger to writing, and I think it really shows throughout this book. Arden interviews numerous spiritual elders, and each of them have their own tribal and traditions. And it's interesting, for me at least, to hear not only what these elders have to say, but also it's appealing how Arden writes it down. In each chapter, Arden takes us to a different nation and a completely different person with a different set of views to interview. Before he starts off his interview, he gives us a really, really detailed description of the setting. And it just, he tells us, like, is he in a hot, dusty trailer park, or is he in a luscious green ranch? And it gives you the mood to the setting, how he feels when he walks up to the man or the woman who he's going to be interviewing. And then after this beautiful description of the area, he also gives us an overall view of who it is that he's going to be talking to. So whether it's an older woman with like a gingerly smile who seems really warm and inviting, or if it's a man with a wrinkled scowl who looks like he's going to be yelling about white man's guilt and all this stuff. These fine-tuned details, at least for me, they helped me get into what I was reading. It's almost like he was giving me their personality without giving me personality traits. And it gave me a tone and a voice in my head. So after giving us this whole pre-interview description, Arden does a really, really great job of explaining the tone throughout the interview. So he obviously relates to us what it is that the elder says to us, but he also shows how they said it. He points out like key hand gestures and movements that really set the mood. Whether someone's talking fast or if someone's wringing their hands, it just helps you understand how they would say something without him having to use descriptive words like, she energetically told me this, and things like that. Arden doesn't beat around the bush either. If someone is really mad and like yelling at him like, it's white man's guilt, it's all your fault that this happened to us, and there's a genocide on our people, he makes the reader feel his anger and feel his own emotions as he's sitting there, probably really awkwardly, being lectured. So, I mean, overall, the imagery and the emotion that Arden gives us throughout his writing is astounding to me, and it's equally matched to the photographs taken by Steve Wall. So, Steve Wall has worked alongside Arden this entire time and journeyed with him throughout all of these nations, and the pictures he took, I mean, they could tell their own story. Each one of them has like a strong emotion, a strong tone to them, and it matches directly with the emotion that Arden is pretty much trying to put into our heads. And I mean, people who are visual learners, these pictures just like solidify points that Arden is trying to put across. And these pictures, they show personality. Like, I felt that I could see the beliefs and the priorities and everything about this person. Like, I could see their wisdom in like every wrinkle on their face. It's just, they're amazing. And when you're given a description from Arden about a hurt man, one who's broken down by the collapse of his culture, like, you can feel the pain. But then when you look at the picture, Wall shows us a man who's standing tall, shoulders back, with a strong look on his face, and we see the pride and the facade that this man puts out towards the world. And it really, it's profound to see. So Steve Wall's pictures and Harvey Arden's words, they go together hand in hand. And to me, the pictures give us descriptions that words can't even describe. So, I would like to quote an ancient Indian proverb, which is, "Treat the earth well. It was not given to you by your parents. It was loaned to you by your children. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children." The Wisdom Keepers isn't just a collection of interviews, but it has a much, much deeper meaning. The spiritual elders teach us not only to respect others, but to respect the earth as well. Just hearing their beliefs and how different it is from the vast majority really opens the reader's mind. Just as the Wisdom Keepers encourages you to be respectful, I encourage you to give this book a chance, because I think it's really great.